Have you been taught that everything you fear is going to quote unquote manifest because you're thinking about it? And if you're thinking with emotion, therefore it's going to happen? Here's a comment I got recently that spoke to this very well. It was a comment about fear of taking action. And then they added, but it has been reinforced by LOA teachings, saying that my fearful feelings will manifest as a negative outcome, and that I have to be completely at ease and detached to take action. Now, how rough is that? The first thing I always like to put as a caveat for at least how I like to think of inner work and anything you learn about, spirituality, techniques, thinking with the mind, all this stuff. It's ultimately in some way supposed to make your life a little easier, a little better, a way of navigating this very mysterious place, and certainly not to create extra layers of fear and anxiety and perfectionism and pressure. So if you observe that happening on any level, my first suggestion would always be to deeply question what you're believing or what you've been taught. Now, that's of course not to say that every type of inner work is comfortable. Of course, you're going to be facing deeply uncomfortable things, but it's not about doing it in a way that creates tension and anxiety in your life. Just like you ultimately go to a gym and maybe do some slightly difficult or challenging exercises, not just to abuse yourself, but to actually make you stronger and more functional in the world. So again, if something is creating more stress, making it more difficult to do the things you want to do or feel the way you want to feel, because now, oh my God, now if I'm feeling bad, I'm attracting more bad things. You can see the loop, the dangerous spiral that can take you down. So again, just question it immediately as soon as you start experiencing that, because I like to believe that our own feelings, our own, not every whim of, dopamine, but that deeper sense, right, of what's really right and wrong here in this moment is a very good guidepost. So if you hear someone who is a self-proclaimed law of attraction teacher, which requires nothing other than saying you are that, saying something and you feel deeply like, ooh, that's tough, that's going to make life harder, this is making me more anxious, question it. Question it deeply, consider discarding it. And if we want to go deeper with it, let's test it out, right? Are there any fears that you have held deeply? You might have forgotten about them. I can think of some when I was a kid, deeply held fears of things I thought was going to happen. And perfect recipe for any type of law of attraction, right? I've maybe thought about them often with intense emotion. So the rule is that should have happened in my life, right? Most of them didn't, if any of them did. Some of the worst things that have happened in my life, I never thought of them before. All of these types of things don't really hold up to scrutiny in terms of if I fear it is going to happen, right? That just sets you down that path of creating more tension and more anxiety. Now, does that discard that there is no power to the mind, that holding something in mind with an elevated emotion is useless? I don't think it's useless. I think it's quite powerful. And I think it's something that can be developed. And again, you can test it on yourself, right? But the test should be from an actual experience and not from the theory. So if you are experiencing fear because so-and-so said this is going to happen, or I'm going to manifest a bad outcome because I'm feeling this, you haven't proven that yet. And in fact, the fear of it or the belief in that can make you less likely to take action, less likely to do things that you want to do. And always investigate, at least I like to do this. Are there people who've never heard of law of attraction or any of this stuff and don't believe in any of it, who are doing just fine in the area I want to do it, or are doing the things I want to do, and they're not sitting around meditating, they're not talking about manifesting, they're just out there doing that thing? That's important to take note of. It's not to say, again, that there is an enormous power in aligning your energy. I think it's more powerful than physical action in most cases. But again, this can turn into a mental construct. It can become an idea that keeps you stuck. And instead of actually doing the stuff, which even if it requires some force or you're not in total quote unquote alignment yet, but you know what, I'm just gonna get out there and do the thing. I'm just gonna hit record and I'm gonna throw the videos up online and see what happens. Usually that's gonna do a lot more for you and generate the momentum and maybe even bring up some of the things that you need to honestly face, but then you'll do it because they're real and you've had the real experience and your body has tasted it. And now it starts to become a real thing versus a philosophical thing. So I highly encourage, if you find yourself stuck in a loop or a theory loop of like, isn't this going to get worse because I'm fearing it? Man, there's people who are extremely famous, successful musicians that you've heard of who have stage fright every night. You can read about it. It's the people that talk about it openly. They get stage fright every night and they have yet to manifest destroying their career or destroying every concert because they felt fear, right? Fear is an impulse in the body at times. It's a name we're giving for a process that can happen, right? And you're more than that. You're more than the body. You're more than the mind. You are more than the fear response. So if you start fearing fear based on a theory, it's not going to help. And I hope any part of what I said might help kind of shake loose of any of that. Let me know if it does. Happy to hear if you completely disagree because I find it interesting. I'm just interested in finding what works for best for as many of us as it works for. So see you on the next video. Thank you.